The head chef has been poached by a fancy hotel restaurant nearby, and we can't serve meals. What should we tell the guests? Today, we're fully booked, and guests will start arriving in less than an hour. Amidst this, the worst-case scenario has happened. Our head chef has left, and we can't provide food. If we don't make any sales, the hotel might go under. I could sense the panic in Ava, who I've supported as she's always been energetic, different from her usual self. Wanting to change the situation even slightly, I told Ava, "I'll borrow a knife. Please, guide the guests." "Excuse me." She was taken aback, unaware of the turn of events that action would lead to. At 33, I'm now working as a head chef at a luxury hotel's restaurant. Looking back, it's been a series of hardships to get here. After graduating high school, I attended culinary school for 2 years, aiming to master French cuisine, and then got a job at a luxury hotel restaurant. I aspired to achieve a Michelin star, a dream for any chef, and worked tirelessly for over a decade. However, despite 10 years of painstaking efforts, the star remained out of reach. James, the hotel owner, initially had high expectations for me but gradually started looking at me as if to say, "This guy won't make it." Watching acquaintances of mine secure Michelin stars one after the other, I started to doubt my culinary skills. I was a fool to expect anything from you. No matter how much hope I put into someone who can't meet those expectations, it's wasted. At one point, the owner, James, said in disgust, "Others, clearly less skilled than me, have won Michelin stars. What am I doing wrong?" I began to doubt my culinary skills and even suffered from an eating disorder due to the overwhelming stress. It was a clear indication of how pressured I felt. Looking back, I understand that now. Therefore, when my restaurant was first listed in the Michelin Guide, I was overjoyed. Although it was just 1 star, I remember shedding tears alone, thinking, "I've finally made it." It happened in my 11th year of employment at the luxury hotel restaurant. Continuing to hone my skills, I achieved 2 stars in the 12th year and finally, 3 stars in the 13th year, reaching the pinnacle of Michelin's ratings. Once I won a Michelin star, my focus shifted solely to how I could improve my rating. Customers faded from my mind, and I only saw the invisible Michelin inspectors who visited anonymously. After years of this cycle, I hit a philosophical block, wondering, why am I cooking in the first place? No matter how many prototypes I made, none satisfied me. This must be the slump everyone talks about. Lost in a maze, I couldn't find my way out. During this toughest slump, a new chef arrived. Her name was Isabella, a 20-year-old fresh culinary school graduate. Isabella was the same age as me when I first joined the restaurant. Watching her, I could feel her pure enthusiasm for cooking and her genuine desire to make customers happy with her dishes. Nothing makes me happier than knowing someone has enjoyed my food, even if just a little. Isabella told me with the brightest smile. Inspired by her refreshing and earnest attitude, I began to rethink my own approach. Had I become a slave to the Michelin stars, focused only on maintaining high ratings? "I have something I want to discuss, if that's okay," I said. "What's up?" "Go ahead," he replied. "This year, I want to stop focusing on maintaining Michelin stars and start cooking food that truly resonates with our guests. I'm thinking of declining Michelin participation this year. You're aware we've finally reached the pinnacle of becoming a 3-star Michelin restaurant, right? Do you know how many years we've waited to get here? You can't just change things on a whim." I'm truly grateful to the owner, but continuing this way, I fear I'll lose my way as a chef. "I always knew you were a lost cause, but even after winning Michelin stars, a lost cause remains just that. So it's all about what you want, huh? Seems I need to spell it out for you. Our guests come here because we're a 3-star Michelin restaurant. Without that prestige, it's clear we'll see a drastic drop in customers. A restaurant without stars now would be utterly pointless." I couldn't agree less with James's Michelin-centric view. Having finally broken free from that state, I made my case to James, the owner. I wasn't just thinking about myself. The idea of being a chef solely for Michelin stars was unimaginable at this point. James and I exchanged opinions, but finding common ground was impossible, and ultimately, he declared, "We can maintain Michelin stars without you. As of today, You're no longer the head chef. Your successor will be him. You're no longer needed here. Don't show your face again." He referred to James's nephew and my colleague, Lucas. A talented cook, but much like James, quite self-righteous, someone I tried to keep my distance from. "You can't do anything by yourself. Just when I thought you had developed a sense of self, you start rebelling," James sneered. After dedicating 13 years solely to this luxury hotel's restaurant, I was overwhelmed by sentimentality. The abrupt and almost irrelevant end to over a decade of effort seemed incredibly unjust. But perhaps it was inevitable. In order for me to be myself, I first need to face the customer. I had never seen a customer since I got my Michelin star. Honestly, I felt unworthy of holding a knife in my current state. There was still so much I wanted you to teach me. On my last day at the restaurant, the rookie chef Isabella came to me, expressing her regret that she still had much to learn from me. "I'm sorry, but I have no doubt you'll thrive, Isabella. You'll do just fine." And so, I was fired from the luxury hotel's restaurant. Since starting at the luxury hotel's restaurant, my days were consumed by work, leaving virtually no time for a personal life. Suddenly finding myself jobless, I was thrown into a world of freedom I wasn't prepared for. My life had been all about work, and now, faced with this newfound liberty, I found myself at a loss on how to fill my time. It had been since high school that I had this much free time, so it was only natural to feel overwhelmed. I spent my days lounging in bed, endlessly scrolling through meaningless videos on my phone. Yet, the guilt of wasting time started to creep in, even though I was free to do as I pleased. I hadn't decided what to do next. I knew I wanted to cook again someday, but not just yet. It didn't feel like the right time. That's when I remembered the words of my mentor, who came to celebrate my Michelin 3-star achievement. "You've accomplished something incredible, yet you look so down. Why is that?" "No way, you must be mistaken," I replied, trying to brush off his concern. "You seem thinner, and it's like you haven't rested at all." "There's nothing I want to do but cook. It's easier for me." "You'll collapse at this rate. What you need now is a vacation. I know a place. Go there when you feel like it." Considering I had nothing but free time, perhaps it was time to heed my mentor's advice. Before I knew it, I was eager to go, quickly making a reservation. I knew California was famous for its karst hot springs and Yosemite National Park as tourist spots, but I'd never been. Maybe this was fate. And so, I headed to a hotel in California, double-checking the address repeatedly. Was this really the hotel my mentor mentioned? It looked far too dilapidated, especially compared to the others around it. Yet, no matter how many times I checked, it matched the name and address given by my mentor. Perhaps, its shabbiness was part of its charm, drawing people in with an atmosphere of an old, established hotel. If you think about it, many long-established inns are old, and it's possible that this inn was purposely designed to look run down. This is the hotel that my mentor taught me about in the first place. I decided to change my mindset. It seemed to be off-season in California, with not many people around. To me, someone who dislikes crowds, this was a welcome gift. I couldn't understand why anyone would willingly dive into crowded places. With that thought, I entered the hotel. Were you surprised by the run-down exterior? The young proprietress, Ava, apologized. "Sorry about that. We haven't been able to get around to fixing the outside yet." No, a historic hotel like this is pretty standard, I'd say. Personally, I think this aged look has its own charm. I mentioned, not wanting to come off as tactless by criticizing the worn condition of other historic hotels I'm not even familiar with. "Thank you for your understanding. It's true that the inn has significantly aged, and we've started with the room renovations as our first step. We're carefully proceeding to ensure we don't inconvenience our guests." Ava, the young proprietress, shared with a sense of dedication towards guest-first service. A sentiment I doubted I'd ever hear from James, the owner of the luxury hotel restaurant I was fired from. He'd likely prioritize appearances and start with the exterior renovations first. I had a good impression of the young proprietress, who prioritized the comfort and satisfaction of her guests over the appearance of the hotel. "Why did you choose our hotel this time?" "I decided to come here because my mentor once told me this inn was worth visiting." Mentor. She was understandably puzzled. Even if I suddenly brought up mentor, there was no way she would know who it was. Sorry for being vague. I used to be a chef, and I had a mentor when I was younger. His name was Martin. Oh, I understand now. You're talking about Mr. Martin. I had no idea he was a chef. You're amazing, Ethan. It's true that guests rarely announce their culinary backgrounds upon arrival at an hotel. My mentor told me about this, and so I ended up saying that I was the chef. Though I'm currently taking a break from being a chef, Ava, intrigued, asked, "Why aren't you working as a chef right now?" It seemed natural for her to ask, given my cryptic remark. I simplified my story of being a head chef at a luxury hotel restaurant and my eventual departure. "So, you're not working at the moment," she concluded. "That's right. I just can't seem to find the motivation to cook right now. Would you consider staying at this hotel for your break?" Ava's suggestion caught me off guard. "Why would you offer that?" I asked immediately. "It's a connection from your mentor, Mr. Martin, and it's the off-season here. Peaceful, with great air and views, and we have hot springs. It's perfect for relaxation. But won't I be an inconvenience suddenly? How about this for a stay condition? Would you work as a cleaner? We can pay you, albeit not much, but it might ease any feelings of guilt." I was leaning towards declining, but Ava's earnest persuasion led me to gratefully accept her offer. Thanks to Ava's arrangement, I began working as a cleaner, sweeping the hotel's front and cleaning rooms and washing dishes in the kitchen, among other tasks. While working as a cleaner, I was reminded of my days as an apprentice in the culinary world. Particularly, when I was washing dishes in the kitchen, it took me back to the time when dishwashing was all I did. Following that, I recalled the first time I served my own cooking and saw the satisfied smiles of the customers. Seeing their smiles, I felt a burst of joy inside me. Through the job of cleaning, I undoubtedly remembered what it was like to start from the beginning. That's right, it was like this at the beginning. Despite the struggles, I was dedicating myself to cooking. Since I was washing dishes in the kitchen, it was natural that I got to know the head chef of the inn. Chef Logan has been working in the inn for almost 10 years. Although I have been in the culinary field slightly longer, it's clear that we both have devoted a significant amount of time to cooking. However, observing Chef Logan, I started to feel a bit concerned. It seemed like he was somewhat loose in his approach to cooking and various matters, not appearing to be seriously engaged. Having been obsessed with Michelin stars in the past, I couldn't say much, but it seemed like he was distracted by something else and had forgotten what it means to genuinely create dishes. The kitchen atmosphere seemed fine, so I thought there wasn't much for me to worry about and concentrated on washing dishes. I've been working as a cleaner at this inn for half a year now. I've grown accustomed to the duties of cleaning and feel it might be time to move on. Yet, the comfort here makes it hard to leave. Furthermore, an incident occurred that made it impossible for me to leave. A luxury hotel recently opened nearby. As a traditional hotel, it will be a rival. Ava, the young proprietress, seemed unfazed, confident in our hotel's unique charm that the luxury hotel lacks. It was true that the Ava had a point, as I felt that the clientele of luxury hotels and traditional hotels were different. But what if we lose guests to them? These thoughts crossed my mind as I swept the hotel's front. What? No one's taken you in yet. I guess that figures. You weren't much of a chef anyway. When I looked up at the all-too-familiar voice, there stood James, the owner, who had let me go. You're aware a luxury hotel just popped up around here, aren't you? It's part of our chain, and I thought I'd swing by to say hi to the neighbors. Never imagined I'd run into you. It's been a while. What? Have you quit cooking and turned to cleaning or something? He ignored my greeting and sneered. Talk about a fall from grace. A former head chef of a Michelin 3-star restaurant. At this rate, you won't be attracting stars or customers. Don't you dare touch anything sacred with those filthy hands ever again. It seemed he was getting a charge out of his own words, getting all worked up and continuing on. You really are a jinx, you know that. Just your presence makes everyone around you miserable. I bet something unfortunate is gonna happen to this hotel soon enough. With a satisfaction-filled grin that was both smug and demeaning, he laughed loudly and just disappeared. That man has no sense of logic. I just thought to myself, he's as emotional as ever. Why am I considered a jinx, and why does my presence supposedly bring misfortune? As far as I know, it's just James who arbitrarily decided I'm a jinx, and nobody else is suffering because of me. Maybe it's because he sees himself as the center of the universe, that he can only view me in that light. Well, I doubt I'll ever see him again, so I decided to just forget about it. Once the tourist season hit, guests poured in like a tsunami, leading to a period where there was absolutely no downtime. The business of the inn during the peak season was a whole different ballgame, and I was running around like a chicken with its head cut off. There was no end to the cleaning that needed to be done. Since the guests started coming in droves, naturally, the frequency of cleaning had to increase proportionally, and I found myself literally working non-stop from dawn till dusk. It brought back the kind of exhaustion I felt when I was desperately working as a head chef after a long time. Honestly, when I wasn't working, all I could do was lie on my bed like a limp rag, exhausted. That's how hard every day was. But Ava, the young innkeeper, went through these tough days without showing a hint of tiredness, always with a smile, as if it was just like the off-season. To me, that was nothing short of a feat I could never hope to emulate. How can you always keep smiling like that, even through such hard days? With genuine curiosity, I asked Ava. Well, I guess a big part of it is that I truly love this hotel from the bottom of my heart. Plus, I'm essentially the face of this place. What would people think if they saw me tired and not smiling? Just the thought of that is unbearable to me. No matter how tired or hard it gets, I absolutely have to keep smiling. Her words struck straight to the heart of what I was feeling. I might sound a bit pretentious, but these are all things I learned from my parents who left me this hotel. I believe that they, watching from heaven, think I'm doing my best. Ava's genuine and unadorned words struck me deeply. Taking over the inn from her late parents and guiding it with her own strength, I found myself filled with respect for the young innkeeper all over again. And then there was me. When I was the head chef at a luxury hotel restaurant, all I thought about was winning Michelin stars. Once we had one, all I aimed for was getting more. Fed up with that, I argued with James, saying it was for the customer's sake, but really, I feared it would ruin me as a chef. In the end, wasn't I just thinking about myself? I even recalled James saying during our dispute, "So, it's all fine as long as you're okay." I felt ashamed of my selfishness, thinking, maybe I really don't deserve to hold a knife anymore, as I sank into a whirl of negative thoughts, as if in sync with my feelings. A week later, a situation arose where the hotel's head chef was poached by a luxury hotel restaurant. It was undoubtedly James's doing. Me, a jinx. I thought to myself that if anyone was a jinx, it was him. But to Ava, I undoubtedly seemed to be in the position of a jinx. I was aware of the head chef's laxity and had hoped he could be a bit more reliable, but I never imagined he would quit without saying a word and just leave everything behind. To make matters worse, the hotel was fully booked today. It's a wonderful thing, yet I find myself frustrated having to call it a worst-case scenario. Ava and the maids tried calling and messaging every chef and head chef they knew. But it's tourist season, and it's not just our hotel that's busy. Every hotel is packed with guests, and finding any available chef or head chef to spare was just impossible. What should I do? What can I possibly do? Her words, whispered almost to herself, seemed to find no destination. And then Ava, covering her face with both hands, started to cry without making a sound. That sight was more damaging to my heart than any loud weeping could have been. I gently tapped Ava's shoulder. When her tear-stained, reddened eyes met mine, I nodded slowly and headed towards the kitchen. I was deeply moved. Ava knew I had been a head chef. Yet, even with me right there, she didn't rely on me. It was because she thought I was still healing from my own wounds and that it wasn't the right time to ask for my help. In most cases, I'd be the first person anyone would turn to, especially since I was right there. But Ava, she thought of me first and foremost. Even though she must have been overwhelmed with her own issues, she still thought of me. I wanted to cook, not for myself, but for Ava. Not for myself, but with a sole desire to help Ava. How long has it been since I last held a knife? Probably close to a year, I reckon. I asked the chefs what ingredients we had and how much, and with their answers, I began to imagine what I could make. An image formed in my mind. To me, cooking is all about the image. I remember a scene from some story where magic was said to be about imaging. If you can imagine it, you can use magic. If you can't imagine it, you can't use it. Whether that's true or not, cooking for me was exactly about such imaging. Apprehensively, I managed to finish cooking, sincerely hoping the guests would be pleased. At the same time, I feared getting complaints about how terrible the food was. Could I have done more? Using nearly a year's break as an excuse, had I resorted to a somewhat lazy cooking method? Once I start to think negatively, I tend to spiral down quickly. So, as those thoughts began, regret just started to overflow in me. Alone in the kitchen, caught in a negative spiral and slumped over the table, I heard Ava's gentle voice calling, "Ethan, could you come here for a moment?" When I looked up, I was overwhelmed with "There are a lot of people who want to meet you." Frozen and unable to respond, Ava said, "Come on, let's go," and pulled me along. I've been coming to this hotel for over 10 years, but this is the first time I've had such delicious food. I just wanted to tell the head chef how much I enjoyed it. I was about to say I'm not the head chef, but Ava seemed to sense this and put her finger to her lips in a SHH gesture where the guests couldn't see, so all I could do was give a vague response. Well. And it wasn't just one instance. I was called over by several guests to hear it was delicious, and it truly gave me a sense of salvation. The makeshift dishes I have prepared seemed to be especially well received, with several photos of the food along with the hotel's name being uploaded to social media. Apparently, the tricky appearance of the dishes I made out of desperation due to a shortage of ingredients worked as an appealing element. This must be what they mean by a stroke of luck. But no matter how much praise I received, I wasn't satisfied at all. There was a significant gap since I last cooked, and the ingredients weren't chosen by me. It was all just somehow patched together. No matter how much praise something I wasn't serious about gets, I can't really be satisfied. Thinking I never want to do something so half-hearted again, I decided to thoroughly focus on the ingredients and preparation, to seriously engage with cooking. I will become the greatest asset to Ava's hotel. The inn's reputation for Ava's beauty and the exquisite food continued endlessly on social media, eventually even catching the attention of magazine media. What do you think about all the attention it's getting now? It's all thanks to our guests. It's because they make the effort to visit our hotel. I heard you were working as a cleaner here before becoming the head chef. How did that transition happen? Well, on a day when the hotel was fully booked, suddenly, the head chef disappeared. Oh my, was there an accident or something? That day, no one knew why the head chef had vanished. He wouldn't answer his phone, and with every other hotel full, we were really in a bind. So, what happened then? That's when I ended up cooking. I used to be the head chef at a Michelin 3-star restaurant, actually. That's incredible. Why would someone with such an amazing background be a cleaner? People have their various circumstances. It's because I worked hard as a cleaner that I am where I am today. I see, that does make sense. What happened to the original head chef in the end? He was poached by a luxury hotel. He left without saying anything, just disappeared all of a sudden. What a terrible story. The public won't forgive that, will they? It's all in the past now. Because that happened, I am who I am today. How wonderful to have gone through such treatment and still have this composure. Both your cooking and your character are too impressive. Reading the article, I wondered, did I really talk so coolly? But Ava pointed out that a bit of editing is to be expected. And thanks to this article, we've been swamped with reservation calls. We're booked solid for the next 3 months. Just as Ava said, the magazine interview increased attention to the hotel, making it recognized as a highly popular destination. The story of the head chef suddenly disappearing and me stepping in as a substitute was embraced like a hero coming to the rescue in a pinch. There were also sympathetic voices saying it was unfair how suddenly the responsibility was thrust upon me. Now, whether it's sympathy or pity, it doesn't matter. Thanks to that sympathy or pity, it seems guests from the luxury hotels continue to flow to our hotel. The magazine interview only mentioned a luxury hotel without specifying which, but somehow the word got out, and that hotel's business is reportedly plummeting at an alarming rate. Panicked by the drastic drop in customers, James came to me, trying to sweet-talk his way back. "Man, Ethan, You are the talk of the town now. How about it? Won't you come back to our hotel? A small hotel like this doesn't suit your level. To be honest, the luxury hotel where you used to be the head chef is in trouble. We're on the brink of closing down without your help. Please, I'm begging you. What are you talking about now? It would be too shameful for me to cook with my dirty hands in your restaurant. Why don't you cook with your clean hands? For a former cleaner like me to enter your kitchen would be like a biohazard, right? So please, just disappear. I'm busy. Hearing the hotel I used to work at was close to shutting down was news to me, but then I remembered James's nephew had taken over as head chef. Given he was quite selfish and self-centered, it's no wonder people were quitting in droves. Indeed, those who moved to our hotel all said, "We couldn't stand working with such a tyrant." I leaked the inside story to a reporter to make it easier for everyone to come to this hotel, so I think everyone should praise me. Isabella, now fully looking the part of a chef, tells me with a bit of pride. The greatness of Ava's character goes without saying, and it's attracted people who want to work hard for her. As a result, the hotel's popularity soared, profits skyrocketed, and what was once a rundown facade has been rebuilt into a gleaming hotel, while still retaining the charm of an established establishment. Your cucking that time changed our fate, Ava tells me, but it was all thanks to your love, I reply. We've become a pair who exchange such embarrassingly earnest lines. Ava and I, aiming for even greater development of the hotel, will continue to support each other.